Hello, everyone. Hope we're good, well. I'm so excited to be very, very excited. If you're excited to be up in the comment section, let's know how happy. Drop where you're currently streaming from all our listeners, know our audience. So let's know how you're doing here. Drop a thumbs up. Okay, so I don't know if my network is lagging, but anything yet? Oh, all really excited to be here. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, today's session is an interesting one, simply because we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. We're looking at some of the comes to having to get your cloud certificate, and this is a very interesting topic because a lot of people, and this is going to be the moment where we get to actually understand the truth, get updated on what is true. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have two today, and it's so interesting to know that literally the best of the best. They are technical account managers who are going to definitely be able to guide us through. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can make an applause right up. Make some noise for Ruz and Antony Onamu, our speakers. Going to be taking us through this session. Ruz, welcome Anthony. And can
Hi,
you
everyone.
confirm that you can hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right then. All right, we're so happy to have you here today, and we hope we definitely have a good time. To start out with one of the very obvious questions. Been in the industry so far, what are common myths you get when you come and things of that sort? Anyone can go first. Maybe you could start with Ruz.
Okay, great. Probably I'll go with the first common one, and my colleague Antony will. Great team. Nice to meet you, Ruz. I hope they made an introduction about my profile as well. So one of the myths that I've done, like I have encountered, is that all cloud security certifications are the same. So that's one of the common myths. But if you look at it in a broader sense of view, there are many different cloud security certifications available, and each one has got its own focus and level of difficulties. So probably that is what I have encountered so far. So each one is tailored to specific needs and skills that are required for the workforce.
I agree with you, Ruz. And maybe just to give a quick introduction of myself, my name is Antony. I'm a technical account manager with AWS. And funny story, before becoming, before joining the IT industry and working with everything to do with the security and all that, I used to have this dream where I would like to be, I wanted to be a doctor. And then just after I finished high school, before I went into college, I realized that I'm actually not comfortable with the sight of blood. So you can imagine how weird that would have been for me, being a doctor and not being comfortable with the sight of blood. So I chose to work on repairing other things. So I'm still very passionate about finding solutions, but I prefer to find solutions for everything to do with computers, servers, now the cloud, and that is the background of my journey as to how I ended up in this sector. And then one of the common myths that I've actually encountered in the field, myself as well, being a member of the security specialist group in AWS, is usually people think that if you do a security certification once, then that's it. It will cover you for the rest of your life. This is it can be a misconception, because it gives you an idea that, hey, because I've done this certification and I'm a security expert, you can continue to call yourself a very long time. We know the truth in the industry is that security keeps changing. The vulnerability and threats that were announced yesterday are not the same as the ones that are being announced today. At best, you will get some some basic or foundational knowledge that can help you maneuver your way around. But it's something that I've seen with many people who I interact with and say, hey, you have this certification. Me too, I got this certification 5 years ago. Do you intend to maybe upgrade it or do another one? No, this one is enough, and I can stay with this one. It's one of the most common that I've encountered in the field, and even with some of the colleagues that I also work with.
Great. Okay. Not sure if Mimi is available. Okay, great.
Mimi, you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I was sorry, my network is having little issues. So I was talking about how I very much agree with everything the both of you have said. I think a lot of times when people think about certifications, they feel like it's something they will do just once and then that's about it. But then I strongly agree that it's a never-ending loop of learning. You have to keep on updating yourself, you have to keep on getting better, new trends are coming out, and so it's very, very important to actually stay on your game. So I very much agree with that. So which leads me to my next question. So how do you think these myths have affected organizations' decisions when it comes to cloud security certifications?
Okay, probably I will allude to what I've mentioned before, right? Like the assumption or the myth that all the cloud security certifications are the same, right? So based on my experience with how they influence organizational decisions, whether they're business or technical decisions that they have to make. So choosing the wrong certification can equip work. Yes, they will be able to get equipped, but do they get the right skills, the specific skill set needed for that? For example, if you're doing your AWS certification, right? So if you're going to do another certification, will it equip you to be able to work in AWS environment? So it's important to understand, like I alluded earlier, the myth that all security certifications are the same, but in reality, they are not. So you should have that guidance or understanding of the trajectory you want to do what certification aligns to our organizational needs, what's required to perform a specific role. So in that, I would say that choosing the wrong certification can have an impact.
Again, going back to what Raz has mentioned, and adding also the fact that yes, you have an organization that maybe said we need all the people that are handling security in our environment to be certified. Let's say that's the bottom line. Okay, and then people got certified. If there is no other process to ensure that, other than just being certified, they continue to up their game and update their level of understanding of the security landscape as it is at the moment, then they could fall victim to some situations where, even though they are certified, they're not equipped to handle. And this brings in the idea that, hey, even though you are certified, it does not guarantee you to have a fully 100% secure environment, that your team still needs to work towards it, needs to keep upping their game, needs to keep their ears in what is happening in the industry, and try and get as much information as possible also as to current events and what changes are actually going to also impact them. So that could also play a part in how this is actually impacting the decisions from the organizational side.
I agree, actually. So, also, leading to the next question, in your own personal opinion, how do you think this myths, have you ever seen an example, or can you give us an example of how these myths have actually impacted an organization?
Maybe I go first. I'm picking an example that I'm working with currently with a customer. And I won't mention the name, but I'm working with a customer who is in the process of migrating all their workloads from their on-premise data center to the cloud. And they do have a security team that is certified, but they have this misconception or that, hey, we are already certified in security and we should be able to handle security in the cloud hands down. There is a little bit of difference when you come to security in the cloud. It is always a shared responsibility between the cloud provider and the organization. So everyone has to play their part. There is some part of security that is going to be taken care of in the cloud, and there's some part of security that they have to take care of. And in most cases, this played a very big role where they did not understand fully how security in the cloud works. And they had a few challenging couple of months in the beginning, but we will continue. I will use this example again in the end to show you how exactly they went ahead to address that. But for now, just to address the question as to how this can be an example, I would pick that as one where I'm certified. I do have network security certification. We work in the cloud. We work in the data center. We secure our data center. And now that we are moving to the cloud, it's the same. Not really. There is going to be some similarities. There is going to be some foundational basics, but then there is also going to be one or a couple of things that are going to also be added that usually don't meet that security requirement that you have in the cloud. But the idea is always to maintain security at all levels, and that is what we usually advise our customers. And in this case, it might be necessary for this particular team, as they did, to actually get trained in how to handle how to handle cloud security best practices and put them into action.
Okay. I agree. I completely agree with that as well. I think it's really important to be able to see practical examples as to how these misconceptions affect decisions, because obviously at the end of the day it's more about the impact of things as opposed to the things themselves. So
Exactly.
if something isn't impacting in any way,
Yeah.
obviously people would not want to know anything about it, but then it's important to know how these decisions or these misconceptions affect decision making. And so I think that's actually a really, really good one. Bruce, would you have anything to add?
Just it's a generic view, not just a practical example that happens, but we from my experiences, I've seen a lot um, like engagement around certification. Yes, if you look at many certifications around, for example, a security specialist exam, it looks at validating your skills and experience. So when you have those, then you go to write your exam and get that. So you are building on what you've learned. You are building on your day-to-day experience. However, that does not mean that if you do a certification, the organization is secure. So there is still a lot of
True.
work that you have to look at around making sure the organization is enabled to have preventative measures, security measures that make it more secure. So having certified personnel does not secure the organization. So like Anthony says, there are frameworks that are there. They are uh, the shared responsibility model, security of the cloud, security in the cloud. Those are practical implementations that goes into different domains and topics that will need to be implemented. So having just say certified personnel does not indicate that the organization is secure.
I agree. I agree. So, do you think there are specific industries that are more prone to believing most of the misconceptions and myths when it comes to certification? And if you think there are, what are these industries and why do you think they are more prone to believing these misconceptions?
If I could go fast on this one, I think most of the industries or sectors that are new to cloud adoption have traditionally been more cautious about uh, the technology that they're actually exposing themselves to, because if you don't know what it is, you take more caution when you want to use it. You're not really sure, this data that I'm going to put here, is it really safe? Does it mean I have other competitors also using the cloud? Am I sure that no one can have access to my information? You see, so usually they can be a little bit cautious, and it makes sense. And for this reason, I'm looking at an example where they would fall into this category of sectors or industries or sectors that will have these misconceptions because they are new to cloud, and they don't really know how it works. And for this reason,
Yeah,
whatever idea they have about security might not, that is on premise, might not necessarily be the same as what it is going to be like in the cloud. And
true.
this is across the border, because on-prem, you're handling your own security. You know your data is safe. You know someone is there's someone manning the data center or the server. You know the security process, all that. But then, if you're going to go to the cloud, it means trusting somebody else to do it for you. And in this case, if you don't have the a good understanding, which comes from from doing security certifications that are usually cloud-based, then you might fall under this misconception that you think security is the same everywhere, and there are some certifications that because you have done, you don't need to do again, or that it's still the same security that I did 5 years ago, or that I did a security certification in one provider. It should be the same as all the other providers, which is not the case.
I agree. Ruz, do you have anything to say about that?
I just want to second what Anthony has mentioned. So it's important to re-emphasize that the technology space or field is constantly evolving. I've seen technologies that get updates on a weekly basis, on security updates every month, or so having a certification today, next week you find out there is a CVE that's a vulnerability that's been so it doesn't really protect that specific industry or organization. So it is important to look at that in a broad spectrum to say, okay, what are the encompassing details that I need to know about, making sure that I'm well equipped. It's just a certification. Do I need to constantly evolve and learn, being updated? And I remember one of the days I was reading about the rapid attack HTTP2. So on social media, then I saw that, oh, tomorrow there's so much about that, and but it was something that, if I'd written the exam today, tomorrow, that CVE and the vulnerability, I wouldn't have been asked about it in the exam. So I think it is important for the especially for those who are going to be doing certifications who are not maybe involved in as security researchers, because there are people that work every day to look at those things. So to make sure they're equipped and understand that this is an evolving landscape.
I think I strongly agree with what the both of you have said. I think it really does go across border. I don't think we can say a specific industry because at the end of the day, like you've all have rightly pointed out, it's evolving. There are changes every day, and these changes don't happen in just a certain industry. It's across all the industries. So I think I strongly agree that it's very important that you understand that it goes across border. And as long as you keep on updating yourself, you keep on learning better. Because what happened yesterday is literally not what's happening today. That's how fast it moves. And so I think I greatly agree. I really, really agree to that. So this brings me to my next question. So when it comes to certification, what misconceptions do you think individuals have in respect to the difficulties and the complexities of getting this certification?
So there are two things here, because it can go either way. The misconception could be that a specific certification is very easy. So you under prepare for it, or I believe that a specific certification is very, very complex, and you panic and you over prepare for it. I'm going to tackle the one where you're assuming that it's very easy and you under prepare for it. And I'm going to give an example of myself. When I was sitting for the AWS security certification, I went through the training material. It looked very, very, very easy for me. And I work at AWS, but it was still the earlier days of my career. So I was not as exposed as I am now. I did not have the experience that I have now with security topics as I did before. So I would learn some of them, and I would identify like the most difficult ones, and maybe put more effort, or do what some of us usually do, and you cram it into your mind, repeat it a million times until it gets stuck. But when I went to do the exam, there was this talk about the AWS security certification being the most simplest you can do. And it's a specialty certification. So I told myself, it's okay, I'll train myself for 1 week and I will do it. But while sitting for the exam, I learned that it has a question that is half a page, and you have to understand exactly what the question is all about before you can even pick out the right answer. And to make matters worse, the answers that they've provided for you are very close together to the point that you cannot really say which one is wrong. I barely finished the exam with 2 minutes left. I was sweating throughout the time. It took 3 hours. But if you ask me, I felt like I sat in front of my of my laptop for 1 hour. That's exactly how long I felt it took. There are some questions I did not answer. I passed this exam, but I felt like I just passed it. And that was wow. I went back and said, why did you say this thing was easy? It was not easy. Because the time you take to read a half a page question, and then you realize when you reach to the end, you have not understood the question, and you have to read it again, you are taking a lot of time to understand the question. And it's easy stuff, but then it's put in a way that is going to make you really think in order to come out with the right answer, because even the wrong answer is very close to being the right answer. And that for me is a misconception that some people might have about certain certification, thinking that it's quite easy, and then later on finding out no. So prepare well if you are preparing for certification. Read tips. They usually provide the sections to test. If you have the chance to speak to people that have already done it, uh, different type of advice could help. I'm always very honest with this specific one because it was the first 3 hour certification that I did, and wow, I came this close to not finishing it, and I was in a rush throughout, and it was not as easy as I thought. Yeah.
Wow. That's quite crazy, honestly. But congratulations, we're happy you were able to finish the exams eventually.
Thank you.
But yes, Ruth, would you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, personally, I'm a strong proponent of validating your skills and experience. I'd like to share maybe one of this link to you. Uh, so in terms of preparing for it, said for the AWS specialty. So when you look at it, uh, the the first explanation around it. So for me, I previously I worked as a engineer, right, in AWS, and every day it was hands on. I had to troubleshoot. I had to implement, replicate something, and I found that when I go to write the exam, I have the skills to be able to answer this question, right? And in most broad sense, it's not that it's overly complex, but with the right resources and right practice, you'll be able to make it. So I would always like advocate to in terms of getting your skills right. Once you get the skills, you want somebody to know that, hey, I'm good at this, right? And let me validate my skills. So it helps that it's not a substitute to say, okay, I don't have experience, I don't have. So the misconception is that um, um, if I have a certification, I'm not like what can I say? I'm good at this, and oh, I can go past this exam. So in many ways, you find out that you might struggle to answer a basic question because probably you've never encountered that situation, and you have to think. And like Anthony says, like it was during when he started, right? He was also learning theoretically and practically. So Sure. So yeah, I'm in play around with the tools, play around with the technology, and once you feel confident with the right resources, prepare. So there is that misconception. I'll go to Udemy or any other what do you call it, preparation sites on online. Then I'm just gonna read through things, then I'll go and pass.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing insights on how you all have been able to tackle your certifications. I'm sure you didn't even know how you slipped that in, but then I'm sure it's very beneficial to some people who are listening, having to go back, go through your work, do everything of that sort. And then I also want to talk about what Anthony said about having to feel like an exam is too easy. It really is a two-way thing. Sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe you've heard people say things like this exam is really easy, and you go in and you're like, is this really what it is? Or times where you think it's so hard and then it ends up not being so hard. So I think at the end of the day, it's a probability, and it's very important that we are prepared regardless, prepared for the worst and the best as well. So yes, I think that's definitely something to be said. So another very important question is, are there specific areas within cloud security where certifications are particularly beneficial, and how does this challenge misconceptions?
Um, I don't know if I heard you correctly, but you mentioned that are there particular uh, industries or areas where cloud certifications are important. Perhaps maybe you can pass the question on. I would say for me, security is the number one priority of any organization. So it also gets back to the misconception that people have that only uh, uh, like technical staff who work with security in the security team are the ones that should be certified. No, everyone in the organization can do that. Like you interface, I've worked in different domains myself, and I've encountered security. I need to understand what's going on. I need to audit. So I think that would be saying that every aspect of organization benefits from the having certified cloud security personnel.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, the other thing that security certification adds to a team is you make sure that your team has that basic best practice recommendations that they can all work with and apply. I spoke earlier of an example where I had a client who was moving his workload to the cloud, and they did not have this part incorporated into their team, where the cloud security best practices were not inculcated to them naturally. They know everything about security on premise, but they did not know so much about what about the best practices of security in the cloud. And it was this part here where we worked with the customer to get their team certified in AWS security. They then understood the basic the best practice recommendations that goes around your workload in the cloud, and they were able to implement that. And understanding that, they were able to marry the two, what they know about security on-prem and what they have now learned as best practice recommendation in the cloud, and they were able to comfortably contribute towards the securing or improving the security posture of their environment.
Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that contribution. I'll be asking the next question. Is there
Sure.
someone saying something?
No.
Okay, I thought I heard someone. Okay, all right, I thought I heard something. All right, so I'll be asking the next question. This is going to be for individuals and organizations also. Personally, have you observed any resistance from professionals and organizations when it comes to adopting cloud security certifications, and due to perhaps specific misconceptions? Have you observed any resistance at all?
I think I'll speak on an individual
Okay,
level.
all right, awesome.
Perhaps Anthony, if he's got an organizational level, I've seen individuals who also have experience, right? Say, I don't need a certification. I don't need this, right? I'm good. So, which is not entirely wrong that experience is very beneficial in the field, right? However, sometimes when you look at the preparation material you go through, some aspects of security that maybe you wouldn't know. So, like there are white papers there that speak about industry standards, about HIPAA compliance, about data residency, etc. So it's a learning curve as well. Like you're not just validating your skills and your experience, but you are also widening your reach to some aspects maybe you don't necessarily get through experience. So on an individual level, I've seen people saying, I don't need the certification. I'm good. I have got these skills and experience. And yeah, if you give me the computer, I can do this, I can configure this. But like I mentioned, there are things that you might have missed out through, like even in your own experience, you haven't learned everything in your field, right? If I have to maybe give a practical example myself, I've worked in the data space and AI, machine learning, and analytics and databases, but I don't know all the technologies.
You,
Please kindly
they are
touch on the.
absolutely substitute for experience, especially when it comes to security. But sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay. Yeah. So I agree with you that some people might feel like, well, I have the experience. I have the experience. I don't need to get the certification to I on this every day. I don't need to get the certificate to prove it. It is okay to have the experience. The certification would play a good role where it might fill for some of the things that you need to either refresh yourself or to add into what you already know with your. In other cases, also validate your experience by also getting yourself certified, and also looking at other situations where you have people who already have a specific certification and they don't feel like they need to get another one. Let's say you have one certification for security in one type of cloud, and then in a cloud provider, but then in 2 years from there, your CEOs decide, no, we are moving from this one to a different provider, and you feel, no, I'm already good in cryptography. I'm already good uh, in infrastructure security. I don't need to learn something else different. But if there is a need to switch, you can always consider the possibility of also just customizing the training. It does not mean redoing everything afresh, but you customize it to fit the need of what is actually lacking from what you already have. So you have experience, you can look at, okay, so from the experience that I have, What am I working with on a day-to-day that I need to add or to supplement or to fill in terms of a gap? And there can be this people are using myths to as a reason or as an excuse to not go ahead and get themselves certified. But I highly recommend if you have such a myth that you're using or keeping uh, as a shield and telling yourself, I don't need to do another certification in security because this is what I do every day and I'm knowledgeable and I don't need to add more. It can also be to supplement what is actually lacking. So customize your certification. You don't have to just do certification for the sake of doing them. You pick the ones that fill a specific gap in your role.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for that contribution. So, if you are here, I mean, this is something we hear people talk about a lot like, oh, I'm already good at this, there's no need for that. So, I think this is very, very insightful, knowing that you can customize the knowledge. You don't have to start afresh, especially if it is necessary, if it is required, if your employer said this is what we need, you have to, up yourself, right? And meet up with the criteria that has been set, even if it means having to go through some level of training and certifications again. So, of course, instead of starting afresh, you can try to look for customizable ways to, learn the new technology that is required. Thank you very much for that contribution. I'm going to be asking the next question. But before then, I think we have a question from Abdurazak Noibi. Yeah, so guys, wherever you are listening from, if you have any questions surrounding certifications in cloud security or any other cloud and computing field, um, AWS specific, of course, you can please drop them in the in the comment section. I will do it to take as much as we can given the available time. So this question is from Abdurazak Noibi. After obtaining the CCP certificate, what should be done next? What should be the next certification to opt in for as a DevOps and security? After obtaining the CCP certificate, what should be the next certification to opt in for as a DevOps and security? Anthony or
Probably.
Ruth,
Okay.
anyone of you can take this. Ruth.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation because last week I had someone I call my brother who was looking in that space. So in the DevSecOps. So so he was like, can I do which projects around DevOps and security? So there's a lot of things that are now, if you look at, um, I wouldn't say there's a particular certification that you do, but from my own experience, I've written the DevOps professional certification. So it does emphasize a lot of security and DevOps, especially on monitoring, etc., threat detection, and things like that. So it was an interesting tech that I found out that, oh, security is also fundamental in DevOps. So that's why the term has been coined DevSecOps, if you look at it. So there are specific individuals that are pursuing that career. And yeah, it's interesting, though there is no alpha and omega set you can do. But from my own experience, I would see like the DevOps securities, sorry, the DevOps professional as something that would be interesting and will overlap among the domains that you've mentioned, the DevOps and security.
Awesome, awesome. This will lead me to my next question. Anton, you are going to be answering this question
Yeah.
because they are very, very related.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what role
Okay.
does hands on experience play in complementing cloud security certifications? And how can that influence, these common misconceptions? Because some people just believe in getting the certifications, getting the certifications, getting the certifications. Certifications are good, but I believe
Yeah.
experiences are just as good. So, please help us with that, the role of
Okay.
hands-on experience in complementing these certifications.
Okay. I thank you for that question. I like to give examples, and it's good that most of these are falling under examples of myself. Like I said, when I sat for the AWS security specialty certification, I was doing it at the beginning of my career. So I was doing nothing in relation to security. And after I got the certification, I started the process in AWS. We have these communities where we call they're technical field communities, where you get to become a specialist in something that you're passionate about. Security for me is a passion. If I start talking about it, we will spend the whole day, so I'm going to stop doing that. When I did the certification, I thought that was it. I thought I'm now the master in security. You can ask me anything. But then when I started doing the training to become a member of a security specialist team, that is when I learned that what I knew from sitting the certificate specialty was mostly just foundation. I had the opportunity to go a little bit more deeper. I had the opportunity to speak to customers who are actually facing security issues. And then you have to apply what you know from your certification, from what you know from your experience working with other customers, and how it has worked out. Because there is no one solution fits all for everyone. It is not a silver bullet where, because company A used security solution A, they were able to, the company B can do the same and it will work. No, it all depends on, boils down to the most critical thing, which is the risk assessment that each and all of these companies have. One company's risk assessment might have different needs from the other company. And there are always acceptable risks. As an organization, you do not need to apply a security solution if it means your company going broke. And these are some of the things you don't read when you're doing the security certification. If the security certification you're doing covers risk assessment and management, well and good, because it will be covered there and you will learn how to do that. But then you get to speak to customers, you get to get that real hands-on experience. You get called by customers who are in the process of an attack. You solve it together. The next customer you're speaking to, your certification plus your experience seeing how the attack unfolded, advise this other customer who is complete, or your organization who is deciding to make a move into the cloud, or your organization who is trying to improve their security. Why? Because you have now been able to see what was the theory part of it. Now that you've done some hands-on on it, mix the two together to be more effective in your day-to-day role as a security expert or in a security role.
Okay, so this will lead me to my next question again. But I think both of you can take it one after the other. And I see Idris is already asking in that direction. So I've met people that are just concerned about the knowledge. They just believe, you know what, forget about the certifications. I can just learn this thing, understand the concepts, know how to implement it. It's all about practicalizing it without the certifications. So there are people that are hesitant to write these certifications, not because they don't appreciate cloud computing or the cloud security as a whole, but because they just don't see the value in the certification, like having that certificate. They don't really see the distinct value when they already have the knowledge, right? So what advice can you give to people like that are hesitant to pursue certifications, not because they already have the knowledge, but they just don't believe in acquiring certificates? What advice can you give to them?
Raz, you go first, or I can take this one.
Of course,
I had
you
a
can go
transient
first.
network issue, so I missed
Oh,
some
okay.
parts of the.
So the question is, you have you're dealing with people that have they don't see the interests of sitting for a security certification, either because they have learned to believe the myths that we have just been talking about, or to add more to it, they have the experience and really they don't see the need for the certificate. What is the advice we can give to such a person? I believe I summarized it correctly. Yeah.
Great. So I think I spoke a little bit about that the myth that only security engineers need to be certified, which is not. So I think for me personally, if I have the chance to learn something new, I would learn. Like, for example, I pursued a law degree. So everyone was asking me, why are you studying law? Then I said, I want to be a cyber lawyer. I want to understand. I want to litigate about issues to do with GDPR, to understand the law. And, there's a lot of people who are lawyers, but they don't understand technology. So I've always seen like where technology overlaps with so much things like if you're DevOps, like indicated, you find out there's DevSecOps. So the myth around saying that only our security team will be fixing our problems. So there are
Bruce,
things that
and to set clarity, yeah. So these guys, they know it. They take the pain to learn it, but they just feel like they don't have to sit for the exam. They don't need the
oh
certification. Like they acquire the skill, they learn, they whatever there's a new technology, they don't mind paying money to learn it, but they just do not believe in getting the certification. I know a couple of guys that are currently working in in the cloud space, but they don't have any certification. They just feel like, what do I need the certificate for when I have the knowledge upstairs? I can implement these things. I understand the concept of cloud security, so I don't really need any certification. They are hesitant in taking those certifications. So what can you advise? What would be your advice for them?
I'm sorry, I think maybe I misconstrued the question, but I, I think my advice will be to look, for example, in the environment that you work, right? And be honest yourself to see, um, yes, I might be very good in this. I do this day in, day out, right? And what are the gaps that I do have, even though I've worked with this technology for 5 years? And if it's an area of improvement, what can help bridge that gap? So that should be maybe a number one motivator to say, I want to upskill myself in certain things.
Okay. Anton, are you there to add to that?
Yeah. For me,
Awesome.
I can say this. If your position does not require you to validate your knowledge, I don't see why you need to do it. Like, validate that you have that security knowledge. What if, like, for me, to become a security specialist, I needed to have security certification. Luckily, I got trained to become a specialist. But if I was already a specialist, I would still need to do this to validate my knowledge, because they would say, okay, we think you're good, but could you really show us that you're good? Then for that reason, I would sit that, and this is a requirement for a security specialist in AWS. Okay. Even though you have already worked as a security specialist before, there's just some things that might be required of you. So it's okay if you do not require validation. I know a lot of security specialists who have different types of certifications and have done this all their life, and they are doing security out of experience. They customize their training. What does that mean? They're not getting certified, but they are in the know-how of what is happening in the industry on any day. I meet these people in the morning today. I ask them what is happening. They will tell me. They will tell me there is this threat, there is that threat, there's that threat, there is that threat. They don't rely on what they have collected only from experience in a while. They are in the know, they are keeping themselves updated, they understand the importance that security is not static, that security is changing on a day-to-day, and they need to keep themselves up to date. A good way to do that is you might realize, which was my case, where you are reading about security in order to become a specialist, for example, and then you realize, because of all this reading that I've been doing, I can sit for a certification to validate that I've understood what I have read. And that can be a reason as to why you would actually sit for a certification. But the most important thing to keep in mind is only a certification will not guarantee that you are the best in what you do. You need to get the certification, and you also need to gain some experience. Only certification does not make you hacker-proof. It does not mean that if the whole security team is certified, you're not going to be hacked. You need to keep yourself up to date. You need to keep yourself in the know. You need to make sure that you are constantly updating your knowledge about what is going on in the security industry and making sure that you are always at par. So certification on its own might not do so much. Experience on its own can do a lot. Certification and experience can validate what you're already doing, and also for yourself to know that what you know is on top. Because we are all good at different stuff. Maybe you are in security, but in part of security, and the part that is actually missing could be a gap that can be filled by taking on the security certifications. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It does answer the question. So for everyone listening, I hope you got that, because those were insights that were shared. So the knowledge is important. The certification is important depending on the environment you are in. And what I usually advise people is do not wait until um, something is needed from you before you have it. So like they say, opportunity plus readiness equal to luck. You might be working in an organization that don't really pay attention to the certification. They just need to have the knowledge, and that is perfectly fine. And then you might find yourself in another organization, maybe your next company, and they say, "Oh, we need to validate your experience. We need to validate your knowledge." Yes, in the validation, and they want you to use start running helter skelter, trying to sit for an exam and whatnot. Oh, you can't hear me? Is it just
I
can
can hear you.
any? Okay, perfect,
No, we
I
perfect.
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay, so Sam's well, you can't hear me. I would have said check your audio settings. Yeah, so it's important that you are prepared, right? So you are prepared, prepare yourself. So as you are learning, if you have the opportunity to validate those skills, please go ahead and do that, so that when those opportunities that require both come, you are not left behind, right? But like we have learned today, the most important thing is having the knowledge. Like Anthony rightly said, if everyone on the team is certified and then we cannot build a secure infrastructure, then our certifications are as good as nothing, right? So first and foremost, the knowledge, and then go ahead to validate what you have learned. I mean, it's a good way to put your knowledge to test with those certifications exam. I've heard a lot of interesting stories from people. Well, just try your hands. I hope that you have a sweet experience with yours. Yeah, so because of time, we're a little behind schedule. I would have loved to go on and on and on, because this is a very, very insightful topic for me and for the community as well, because we get a lot of questions concerning AWS certifications. So hopefully we might do this again in the future. Um, what happened to years of certification without you? Idris, sorry, I'm laughing. It's not a funny thing, really. I know people that are affected by this. What I can say is, okay, let me leave the experts to say that. I will just take just this one from Idris before we round up. Anyone, Roots, Anton, you can jump
Yeah,
on this.
Idris, you have done the certification, you've done your part. Now, when we were talking about preparation and opportunity brings luck, that is where it comes in. And you will realize that it's going to be very, very important as well, not to just be certified without really having the knowledge. So look for opportunities to put yourself and get some hands-on. There are sites nowadays that can provide. I can dig down a little deeper and find them. If this user group would like to get hands-on opportunities, I'm sure that you can reach out to. Very good with someone who has hands-on experience. They do not speak the same way as somebody who is just certified. Someone who has hands-on experience can see the image in their head and they can clarify what they are trying to do or how they go problem. Someone who just has a certification without hands-on, you might have a bit of difficulty finding a situation and having it clear in your mind and how you will go about it. So do not give up hope. You have done the first part, you have done the preparation. Now the opportunity needs to come in. Put yourself out there, come to sessions like this. If there is a way and you can find, this group can find a group of people who would like to get some hands on certain specific security services, I'm sure we'll be more than happy to speak with Promise and the team to try and see how we can help. Because this hands-on will then be able to put you in a better position for you to be more successful in what you're trying to achieve. But I do feel your pain. I've been in a position where I had certification and I didn't have a job before. And for me, preparation met luck. Preparation met opportunity, sorry. And then I had that luck that we've been talking about. But I do wish you all the best, Idris, in your search, or for those people that are actually in this situation. I really wish you all the best. That's why we're having this type of talks. We're trying to let you know that you have the certification. It does meet part of what you're trying to achieve, and groups like this are there for you to help you get to that next level.
Okay. Yeah, just to add on, Idris, just a quick add on, Idris. I understand many people ask, okay, where do I get hands-on experience, especially like, because I think that's much more harder than getting a certification, right? So what I found out, there's an interesting, maybe surveys out there in the Google domain, in public domain, that maybe if you look at it, many certified people, they get paid more than non-certified, right? So meaning that at some point that certification you have will work. And you if you quickly Google, you can find out that there is sort of maybe a higher scale pay scale to those. And also my personal experience, when I look for a job, right, I didn't have industry experience and I was looking for a job and I was like, I cannot get it anyway. The unemployment rate is very high, and you need to be one of the best college students to graduate. Even if you're the best, then the job market is tight. So what did I do? I went on and did the free. There was edX, there was Coursera back in the days. Now there's a lot of things that you can sort of do to get even those free certifications, etc. So I did those, and I found out that when I went to the interview, I was a bit more, even though I didn't have industry experience, they were willing to take me because I had that sort of thing that validated a little bit of my knowledge, right? And someone with straight BSc degree. So I know it's a challenge, but whilst you also pursuing to get those hands on, because experience it cannot be bought, something that you acquire over time. So you did the right thing getting the set, then you're building up on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I see Emmanuel also have the same question. So I hope that you listen to amazing experts on this. So yes, I would also love to add that people have different journeys of life. There are some people they took their course. I mean, I've witnessed this with different professionals. They took the course, took the first certification, did one or two projects, and then they got a job. Some others took the course, took certifications, and then took them months up to a year before they got a job. So people's journey are uniquely different. So please just focus on your own. Make sure you are equipping yourself. Of course, you've gotten the skills, you've gotten the certification. Volunteer. It's going to be sacrificed because this is more like transitioning. This is not what you've done all your life. You've just learned how to do this, you've written a certification, except you went to school to study this for 4 years, then that's a different thing. But for someone that is transitioning, I mean, you are just moving into a new field. So there are going to be some sacrifices, there are going to be some little uncomfortable shifts that you have to make, even if it means working for free for a limited time, right? You can volunteer for projects. If you go on LinkedIn or any of those job websites, in fact, there are platforms that are specifically dedicated for volunteering experiences. You can volunteer there. If you don't want to build, these static projects, you can go there, volunteer for a real life experience. You can do that for 6 months. If you're lucky, the team might like you and employ you from there, or even recommend you for another organization. These are things that I've witnessed with people around me. They can recommend you for another organization, like, oh, this person is good, please find a role for them or employ them, or they can give you this supporting document, like a letter of recommendation for your next employer. So explore every possible option. Do not just give up hope because you've done this and there are no jobs. So I like what Emmanuel is doing. She currently has two certification, no job, but is preparing for the next one. That's the way to go. Just prepare, get yourself ready, and when the time come, when you get a job, you will look back and smile like, oh, I'm glad I made those sacrifices. I'm glad I made those efforts. So we are rooting for all of you. In case you are not part of our community already, um, I'm sure the host will drop the link. You can connect with us either on LinkedIn or WhatsApp community. You can join the WhatsApp community. We'll also make sure that we share relevant resources with you and from time to time as well. So because of time, we will not be able to. Yeah, this is the link. Absolutely. Thank you very much. So if you go here, it will take you to all of our social media platforms. So you can follow us there, join our communities, and make sure you are not missing out on any information. Like as speakers have said earlier, make sure you are joining sessions like this. I've attended a webinar like this where someone got an internship role. So the speaker was speaking just like the guest speaker was speaking like that, and the guy asked an intelligent question, and the man was like, which is what Anton said earlier. When you are talking, you have to talk like you know it. Use those terminologies. Let a technical person will know that this person knows what he's doing. That was what happened that day. The boy asked a question, a smart question, and then the guest was like, no, for you to use these words, you actually have an idea. Connect with me after this call. And he hired him as his intern for his company. So you never can tell. Join sessions like this. There are opportunities available for everyone. Don't worry, just keep on keeping on. I'm rooting for you. You will get a job that you deserve. All right, so before we round up, I just want final words from our guests. I'll go from Rose and then Anton. Just a final word for everyone that's been listening so far. What advice would you give us all from your pool of experience?
Yeah, great.
I would.
Thanks for hosting us. I'm so happy today that I was able to share my thoughts with the rest of the community. And I think the bigger outtake for me is that from what we've discussed, what are the key takeaways that we go with home, right? And from what stood out for me was that um, eager to continue to learn those certifications, getting that hands-on experience, so they'll complement. So if like what our host has mentioned, please, like if you have to volunteer, volunteer. If you have to find a static project, that I also did the same. I had a website, static website. They saw my work, and yeah. So I think you've got a lot of people. The community is there. I hope the community can have like sort of direct engagement with participants to look at how they can career advise them, and they also have access to us to ask those questions, follow up. So I would be happy the community to have that initiative.
For me,
Thank you very much, Ruz. Anton,
for, for me,
Anthony.
I'd like to start by thanking the members of the community and the organizers. Thank you for having invited us to this session. I'm honored to be here today and to speak to you about something that I'm passionate about. If I was to leave you with last words, customize your certification. Don't do the certification for the sake of doing it, because it does not, as we have said, it does not necessarily guarantee that it puts you in a better place. So look at what you need to achieve what you want to achieve. So you are doing a security certification. Is it because you are interested to actually occupy a security role? Yes, you are. Or even if it is not, is there an interest, like we've learned from Ruz, where he's studying law because he would like to apply that with cybersecurity and see how he can litigate that. So try and see what you would like to achieve. Sometimes I know it's not easy, and you might have a lot of things in your plate, but that's why we have groups like this to help you identify what your interest is, what you're good at, what you would like to do. And where the path is not necessarily clear, I advise you to reach out to the community that you have, your community leaders. Ask them these questions. They have access to us. They can reach out to us, and we can always organize some community programs that can reach out to you as well to try and assist in any way that we can. Somebody asked advice for the community. You are in the right path. Continue sharing what you would like to achieve with this community. Continue sharing the areas that you need to fill in terms of gaps, and we will be more than happy to jump in us. But there are a lot of other people in AWS or other enterprises that will be more than happy to share their experience and share with you more content and have this type of discussions in order to give you more insight into what is actually going on. Thank you, everyone, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very, very, very much. I'm so glad that I did not miss the session. And for every other person that have been with us till now, thank you for holding on. And we hope that you got insights from today's session. I see all of your appreciative messages. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your kind words. Daniel, I see you. Emmanuel, I see you. Abdurazak, thank you for joining. Idris, we see you. Yeah. If I don't mention your name, please, it's probably an oversight, and of course, because of time as well. So, thank you, everyone. And Sams, we see you as well. Thank you for joining. If you've not already, please click on the link and then join our community. So, we'll be sharing more resources and more information with you there. This is us saying goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and stay amazing. Thank you, guys.